Alright, so Sonic Frontiers just released yesterday, and the past 48 hours have been a roller coaster of emotions for the Sonic community. For this video, I'm just gonna be celebrating, reflecting, and talking about the overall impact that Sonic Frontiers is going to have on this franchise. So, kind of take this video as a time capsule of what it was like during the release of Sonic Frontiers, because as of right now, it seems like just about everyone is celebrating the success of this game. Now, there's still a few fans who are not enjoying Sonic Frontiers, and there's nothing wrong with that. We all have our different tastes in Sonic games, but the majority of Sonic fans are having a blast with the game right now. Which, can I say, by the way, how happy I am? The fact that after all of the heated discourse and constant battling within the community, that Sonic Frontiers actually managed to pull it off. I mean, this is certainly a success story to be remembered because this game had all of the odds against it at first. Straight from the first time that this game was revealed, it was a very hard time to be a Sonic fan because it seemed like just about everyone hated the reveal of Sonic Frontiers, and for a solid month, the community was just constantly battling each other. It was getting quite annoying for a while there. I vividly remember like every news source and every big influencer on the globe just came out to talk about how garbage Sonic Frontiers was. And it was very discouraging to be a Sonic fan at the time. But the fascinating part about all of this is despite how the game looked, everyone who actually had a chance to play the game said they loved it. So you had this weird dynamic where, with all of the trailers being shown, the game looked like garbage, but for some reason everyone who played it was consistently saying the game was good. Two very conflicting sources. Who are you supposed to believe in this situation? Your fellow peers or your eyes? I mean, of course, if you know the story, eventually about a month later, the trailers for the game actually started doing its job. It's called, getting people hyped for the game. Yeah, and it did a pretty good job at that. The community after that was mostly positive, but there was still a significant amount of the fan base who didn't exactly trust the game fully. Myself included. Like, I did not think this game looked the most promising because there was just a lot of little details I noticed that I didn't really like about this game. A lot of my issues were with the polish of the game and the amount of automation that there was in the open zone, but now I've come to realize that that stuff doesn't really matter. I mean, polish does matter a little bit, but we'll get into that later. Overall, before release, things were looking up. Sonic Frontiers was looking like it was going to be, at the very least, a decent Sonic game. And that leads us to modern day, where Sonic Frontiers released and the majority of fans love it. But I would be lying to you if I didn't say the past few days have not been miserable. You see, I played the game a few days early before release. My copy arrived early, so I was like, hey, let's just play it and make a video on it, right? And to my surprise, the game was good. Like, really good. And this is coming from someone who has been very skeptical of the game for the past few months leading up to release. Like, I was not giving this game a break, alright? For the few days where I did have the game early, it was such a special time because I had time to play through the game without the influence of opinions that would eventually come from the game's release. So I could actually experience the game and gather thoughts from other creators who also played the game and come to a verdict before the game was available to the public. And you know, because of that fact, it was such a special time period because every person I talked to who played the game had a similar experience that I did. They loved it. So as you can imagine, when the review embargo dropped and revealed that the game was a 72% on Metacritic, thus making it yellow, we were a bit stunned. Not gonna lie. And look, I wasn't stunned by the low Metacritic score because I don't really care. I mean, Sonic Unleashed has a 60, yet that game is still goated, so yeah, that doesn't matter. But I was just shocked at how this community took this score so close to heart so fast. Like, so many people just accepted right on the spot that this game was mediocre due to a 3-point difference on Metacritic. To put into perspective how dumb that logic is, let's take Sonic Generations, which is a positively reviewed Sonic game and is considered one of the wholly good 3D Sonic games. That game has a score of 77 on Metacritic. That's right, 77. That is a 5-point difference from Sonic Frontiers. Yet one game is considered mediocre, and the other one is considered a great game. It is insane how a color can simply change a person's entire feelings towards a game. So the day before release was a massive headache because a lot of the community was defending the stance that review scores were either unfair or didn't matter, and the other half were just calling the game mediocre. I don't like to say this because it makes me sound very egotistical and like a jerk, but I had people come to me and tell me that the game was mediocre, despite them being the one who actually never played it. Like, again, I'm not the most reliable source on what makes a video game good. I like Sonic Lost World for crying out loud, but come on, some of you are gullible. Play the game yourself. I mean, it's not that hard of a principle. Which, the funny thing about that is, that's actually what happened. The game released the next day and all that drama over a 3-point difference on Metacritic was history. Sonic Frontiers is a success. We finally, after so long, got a good 3D Sonic game. It may not be the best, it could definitely use a bit more polish, but regardless, this is a good video game, which we haven't gotten one of those in quite some time. We got the good ending, and it's all thanks to Morio Kishimoto and the rest of his team who put their heart and soul into making the best game that they could. It really shows with how addicting this game can be at times. I want to say this, that I am especially happy for Morio Kishimoto because that guy's been experiencing the most hate out of Sonic Team due to him being the director of some negatively received Sonic games. But I always believed he could make some great games because I'm a huge fan of Sonic Colors and, you know, I like Sonic Lost World, so I always thought he had talent. I was always rooting for Morio Kishimoto because I don't think that him making Sonic Forces, Black Knight, and Secret Rings made him a bad game director. So, to see him finally make a good game after all of the struggles he's been through is very satisfying to say the least. I mean, even with Sonic Frontiers, he probably had to fight tooth and nail for the game to be as good as it is. I just simply do not believe Sega was happy waiting 5 years for a new mainline Sonic title. They definitely had to fight for that development time because I just don't see Sega allowing that. This is the same company that rushed out Sonic Forces, Sonic 06, Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, the list goes on. Sonic Team is the one that made this a success here. But maybe after the reception of the game, Sega will be a bit more accepting to longer development periods for Sonic games, which is ultimately what I want from the future of this franchise. I want another mainline Sonic game to take up to 5 years because it's very evident that you can't just make a good 3D Sonic game in a year. That's not how that works. Sure, there's been some good 3D Sonic games that have been made in under a year, but those games either suffer from some kind of issue such as padding, or just has a low amount of content. Think about it this way. If Sonic Team can make 9 great boosting stages for Sonic Generations in about 1 to 2 years, imagine what they can do with 4 to 5 years. And I mean, clearly, with the release of Sonic Frontiers, that also shows that longer development periods do pay off in the end. My deepest nightmares is what Sonic Frontiers would have been if it was released a year earlier, which that is a terrifying thought. So while the long waits may suck, I feel like it's worth it. And with the longer time, I think Sega has a lot to work on for the next open zone Sonic game. I think what they should be working on most of all is polishing up the game. The formula and the gameplay loop of Sonic Frontiers is perfectly fine. We just need smoother animations, less jank, and maybe add a bit more weight and momentum to Sonic's controls. That would be pretty cool. Other than that, Sonic's future looks bright ahead. I'm so happy that I can even say that after all the heated discourse that we've experienced. I love Sonic Frontiers. And now I'm gonna get back to playing it. So if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, favorite, subscribe, and hit that bell with post notifications on if you want to be notified of my future Sonic Frontiers videos. Anyways, I love you guys. Adios. My chill members are the Nice Guy here 567, Snicks, Archer XYZ, Reese, JNXV, Ethan K78, Jen N Rings, Sonic Man 715, Sonic Hub, Thomas Winry, Chip Chip Chop, Escape, The Squeaker Nerd, Super Shax Boom, Sonic Extreme, and Super Saiyan Sonic. Thank you all for supporting the channel. Make sure to click one of the in-card screen videos here. Love you guys. Peace out.